Queen, it's time to get up. Queen, it's time to rise. Queen, rise up.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, Queens Rise Up. You know how we do. This is Queen Rise Up Women Empowerment. What we do around here, we empower who? You, that woman, to do what? To know her worth and her value. Queen, listen, when you get up this morning, make the devil, M-A-D, devil mad that you are up this morning, and make sure you have your foot on the jugular of his neck. Do you hear me? Get up, get up, get up, get up, rise up. And Queen, when you rise up, you are rising from the inside out, not from the outside in. Get up. Listen, this thing is so up to you. It's ridiculous. You hear me? Can't nobody do it but you. Can I tell you, it's up to you. You have to make a decision. You have to decide. Listen, whether you're going to lay there and die, you're going to get up, you're going to rise up from the inside out, not just from the outside in. And excuse me this morning for my tardiness. I was having some technical difficulties. You know, I got using a new app this morning, and I'm trying some new things, and you know what, here it is what it is. But I need you to get up this morning, shake the dust off. Today's a fresh start. Good morning, Queen. Today is a fresh start. Today is a new beginning, and it is so up to you. Can I tell you? Listen to me. You have to get up and decide. Either you're gonna live, you're gonna die. Come on, this is up to you to decide whether enough is enough. And this is real talk. You have the power to choose life, and you got the power to choose death. You got it. Can I say that? If you're joining me today for the first time, good morning, Queen. My name is Chantel C. Ross, and you know, we meet here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today I was having a little technical difficulties trying to use a new app. Yes, I'm trying something different. You know what? And I realize when you're doing things differently, you're gonna be uncomfortable, and you might run into a few bloops and blunders. But come on, but you got it. Can I tell you, you can do it? Yes, you can. So listen, we meet here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'm at 9:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we are LIVE. What you see is what you get. Queen Rise Up was designed so that you would rise from the inside out, not just on external things. That you will be flourished, spirit, soul, and body across the whole board of your life, not just in one area of your life, because you are a three-part being. You are spirit. He wants you rich in it. You are soul. He wants your soul to be strong in him, and body. He wants you to be strong. So he even says that I pray that you be in good health, even as your soul prosper. So I need you to get up this morning, put your foot on the jugular of the enemy this morning. That's how I do. I put your foot on the jugular of his neck, and you say over your life, you speak to your places in your life. You prophesy over your life. You decree and declare over your life. Life and death is in the power of your tongue. We're going to get there this morning. So out of your mouth, just make you say, I decree and declare that I am, that you are the head and not the tail, that you are above and not beneath, that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, that your feet are ordered, your steps are ordered by God. Declare and decree this morning that you walk with the mind and think with the mind of Christ. You're moving by faith and not by sight. So start speaking over your life what God says concerning you. Because, you know, sometimes we wait for other people to say what we already have authority and the power to speak. Open your mouth this morning. Come on, say, listen, I am sitting in heavenly places. I am bold. I am confident. Come on, I am living in a wealthy place. Matter of fact, decree and declare that I walk and that you walk in the place of wisdom. And this is real talk. Queens, get up this morning and shake the dust off. Because let me tell you something. Eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, nor has even entered into your heart what God has in store for you. You haven't seen anything yet. Now, today for you is I call it the fresh start. It's a Monday. For me, this is my Thursday, if somebody understand what I'm saying. But today is Monday. Start your day off with words that's going to take you into the right and get you to your destination. Start speaking as though you're getting ready to go into the next level or the next part of your journey. Real talk. Matter of fact, my title today, and I don't know if y'all can see it, but it says, can you recognize your shift? You have to be able to recognize when you're shifting, when God is getting ready to shift you into new places, new heights, and new dimensions. Because you're shifting. A lot of times when God is getting ready to shift you, there is adversity. And this is real talk. And what happens is, instead of looking at what God is getting ready to do, we focus more on the adversity that comes with the shift. When God's getting ready to take you to higher heights and to deeper depths, you know what? There's always some type of confusion. Something's going on in life. Something that's always, razzling or dazzling around you. Listen to me. But you have to be able to recognize your shift. You have to make sure you are planted. You got to make sure you are rooted. And this is real talk, because a lot of times when we have adversities, we want to look back or, harp on the issues of life. But I'm going to say this morning, because I want to talk about you being deeply rooted, and but you got to recognize the shift that God makes. A lot of times we talk about a paradigm shift. We talk about, spiritual shifts and, shifts to get you to destiny. We talk about birthing and, getting through that pain and that frustration. But you got to be able to recognize that pain or that shift is getting ready to take you into destiny, or launch you into purpose. Something else is great is in store. Do you know, Teresa, whenever the enemy is after me, I'll be like, God, what is you up to? And so I'll be like, Lord, what are you up to? Not what the enemy is up to. Lord, what are you up to? What are you trying to take me? Where is it that you're trying to shift me to? What is it that's in store for me? What is that's getting ready to come down? And what the enemy wants you to do, he wants you to get out of alignment so you will miss what God's getting ready to bring. Come on, bring down the pipeline. What's next? So what happens is he start rallying. He'll use your family. He'll use your finances. He'll use your job, mental anguish. But what happens is he wants to get you out of alignment so you can go do what you used to do, so you will miss what God has in store for you. Let me just do this while I'm reading, because I was studying yesterday, honey, and I was reading about the roots, because you got to be planted, and so you can be rooted, so that your roots will go deep. And what you're rooted in is very, very important to your destiny. What you're rooted in, man, it matters. Do you hear me? In your roots, because your roots, what's ever feeding you is what you'll produce. I'm gonna help you today, Queen. Just give me a minute. Let me catch up with my own self this morning. And this is real talk, because understand that God is getting ready to take you places. He's getting ready to shift some things in your life. He's getting ready to change your mindset, the way you've been thinking for a long period of time. And I don't know what's on your table this morning or what is it God is shifting you to, but let me just lock and load. Let me just do this. I want you to know that your shift. Good morning, Peggy. Good morning, Queen. Your shift, can I tell you, it's for your benefit. It don't feel like it, feel uneasy, unsteady sometimes, but your shift is for your benefit. When God is, somebody said the shift is for my benefit, but you got to be able to recognize it, and that is for your benefit. And understand, it says God makes, he says God, so those who delight themselves in him, he make them firm. He gets you rooted, but you got to delight. Let me lock and load Psalms 37:23. I'm so excited. This is ridiculous. I can't even keep up with my own self this morning. And that's real talk, because you got to recognize your shift. You got to make sure you are rooted. You got to understand that your shift, it's going to benefit you, even though you might not like the way that it shifts and it shakes, but real talk, it will benefit you. Let me lock and load in Psalms 37:23 and make sure I got that right this morning. 27:23. Y'all let me know if I'm going too fast, if I need to slow down, because I'd be excited. Matter of fact, I got the wrong Psalms. I'd be so excited about what God is doing. Matter of fact, he said being rooted by the rivers of living water. That's in Psalms 101, I believe it is. I got to listen. Being rooted by the rivers of living water is really important, because your roots, can I say this? Your roots, oh man, let me tell you what your roots do. Can I just help you this morning? What your roots do. Now, what you're rooted in is going to determine how firm you stand and when adversity comes. Because, Queen, if you're growing spiritually, if you're growing financially, if you're growing in your health, if you're growing, just in your purpose, there's always going to be shift on those levels. Can I just say that there's going to be shifts on those levels? We get excited about the shifts, but a lot of times our shifts are very uncomfortable. But he says this, he says, if you are rooted in me, he said, rooted by the rivers, you got to be planted. And I love how he said, you planted, when you're planted by the Psalms 1 and 3. Let me just get it. He says, listen, he says, ye shall be like a plant planted by the streams of water, that bringeth forth fruit in its season. You may not see what it is yet, what God is producing, because even with the storms and the situations and the circumstances in life, he says, but let me tell you something. If you are planted, he said, you're going to bring forth in your proper season. He says, whose leaves do not wither, and wheresoever he goeth shall prosper. Let me help you this morning. I'll need you to recognize your shift, but when your shift comes, you got to make sure you're rooted, and not just rooted across the board, but you got to be rooted in depth. And this is real talk, because when you get ready to change your mind, come out of comfort zone, step out into, you know what, the unknown, you finna stretch out into new territory. God is getting ready to shift you. You got to make sure, Queen, you are rooted, you are planted by the rivers of living water, because whatever your roots are rooted in is what's going to produce. Let me help you real quick. Y'all excuse me this morning. So as I begin to study about the roots, I said, so the roots is what anchors the tree to the ground. Let me help you. Come on, because you got to recognize your shift, but you got to make sure you're rooted, Queens. And this is real talk. The roots anchor the tree to the ground. The roots, the roots absorb the nutrients, the minerals. Listen to me. You gotta listen. That's what feeds them. So the roots, it has minerals in them, it has water in them. So like for you, the tree is getting ready to dehydrate. In the roots is hydration. Let me tell you something. I have a question for you this morning. What are you rooted in? When you get lonely, what are you rooted in? When you feel like you're in a dry place, what are you rooted in? Real talk. I'm gonna help somebody this morning. When life adversity is taking place, what are you rooted in? Because what happens is your roots, whatever you're feeding, whatever's feeding those roots is what's going to produce. I need you to get up this morning, Queens, because I need you to recognize your shift. When God is getting ready to move you, getting ready to He's transforming your mind from the old thoughts with the new thoughts, the old patterns to the new patterns. He's getting ready to stretch you and launch you out into the deep. But can you recognize it when there's a shift? And are you able to stand? Because when you're rooted, that means that you will bend, but you won't break. And sometimes we get alarmed or frustrated in the shift. Do you know right now and today where you are? Do you know right now and today where you're going? Do you know what's in store for you? Do you understand what the shift does, that it'll benefit you and that it's preparing you for where you're going, not for where you are? I need you to get up this morning. Listen to me, because the roots also will reproduce whatever it's attached to. So what are you attached to? What are you rooted to? He said, listen, seek me first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things to be added unto you. He said, if you are like a tree planted by the rivers of living water, let me say something. So your roots are deep, but what are they deep in? Real talk this morning. Your roots. Can you recognize your shift, Queen? Do you know that when adversity hits, something good is always on the horizon? And this is a real conversation, because I'm telling you, for every blow. Matter of fact, this morning I said, Lord, what is it? What is it? Because if I could tell you about last night, I said, Lord, what is it? And when I got up this morning, I had a queen get into the business. Let me tell you something. I always look for the good in a bad situation. You got to understand your shifts, Queens. If not, it'll make you go 2 steps back instead of 2 steps forward. You're going up. You're going ahead. So I don't know where you are right now, but God wants you to be anchored. He wants you to be established. He wants you to be deeply rooted. Now, if there's some things in your life that you are rooted in, tell him to take the axe to it. Don't start none. Take the axe to the root of that thing that is not producing the right fruit. Tell him to put the axe to that thing that has you looking back instead of forward. Tell him to put the axe to the root of that thing that's been holding you back and holding you up and stopping you from flourishing. I tell him, the man, say, Lord, put the axe to the root of that thing in my mind that is stopping me from fulfilling the purpose of the vision or the plan that you have destined for me. Because sometimes our thoughts can stop us from going, can stop you from going to that designated place. But because sometimes it's fear, put an axe to the root of fear and find out what's causing your fear. What's stopping you? What's holding you back? What's stopping you from pursuing what God says concerning you? Some of us sometimes won't even go because we're just afraid. We're afraid of what people might think. You're afraid of, maybe nobody gonna be, you know what? You gotta go based on what God says, not on what the people say. So can I ask you this question this morning? Are you rooted? What are you rooted in? What's on your roots? Whoo! Because some of us can be rooted in gossip. Some of us can be rooted, don't start none. Some of us can be rooted in the wrong things. What are you, when you got up this morning, what did you plant your feet in? What did you put your thoughts on? What was your thinking this morning? Because your shift is going to benefit you. Your roots is going to keep you grounded. You got to make sure your roots is getting the right minerals, they're being the right words, right season. If you ever studied the root, and can I tell you what the root is when it comes to you? What's going on in your heart? What's going on? What's rooted? Is your heart rooted in who God says you are? Is your heart rooted in the fact, Queen, that you're the head and not the tail? That you are above and not beneath? That you are more than a conqueror? That you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you? That you are fearfully and wonderfully made? Where are your thoughts rooted? Because what you think, where you're rooted, is what you'll produce. So can you recognize your shift? Or are you always caught off guard? Or when the storms come and the winds blow, do you go 2 steps forward or 2 steps back? Is your attitude in alignment? Because you don't want to miss what God has in store for you. Now, I don't know if you can recognize your spiritual warfare when you having spiritual warfare and things are out of position. Look how and the enemy wants to take you off focus. You got to stay focused. You got to keep your eyes on the prize of the mark of the high calling. And this is real talk. Even when it's at its most treacherous times in your life. If I was to ask you this morning and you jot down your notes, what do you want? Where are you going? What's in your way? What's stopping you? It could be deep, and it can be deep rooted from childhood trauma. It can be deep rooted from the circumstances of life or the issues of life. But God said, I don't want you rooted in those things. I want you rooted in me. So when I get ready to take you to destiny and propel you to purpose, let me tell you something, you won't take 2 steps back, but 2 steps forward. So can you recognize your shift? And a lot of times I shift, God, you can, right when you focus and you're getting ready to pursue what God says concerning you, you get all type of calamity and disturbances and distractions around you. Whenever God's getting ready to shift you, you have to be obedient. Woo! You got to be able to hear his voice. So sometimes when things start shifting, you want to go left. He said, no, go right. You got to be obedient in the shift. And this is real talk. It's going to be maybe a tough place or a tough spot. Even pulling your thoughts down and taking them captive and putting them into alignment so you don't miss what God has in store for you. So my question to you today, between Facebook and YouTube, can you recognize your shift? If you cannot recognize your shift, I pray that God will give you wisdom, that He will give you wisdom so you'll be able to recognize that when life is in an array, I mean, life is life in, that you are still attentive, that you still walk with a sound, sober mind, that you walk in wisdom, that so now your roots going to get rooted in wisdom. You're going to start absorbing what wisdom brings so you can produce the right fruit. And any fruit that is produced in the shift that's not like God, tell Him to cut it out, cut it down, and start to prune it. And this is real talk. So I have a real personal question. I don't need you to put your business on the book. I need you to just look over your life and say, okay, where am I rooted into? Am I rooted into doubt? Am I rooted into fear? Do I have a bad attitude? How is my thinking? But you got to be able to recognize your shift, queen. If you don't recognize it, you're going to mess around and you're going to miss the boat. You hear me? So what are you rooted into? Let me go back over Psalms. I want you to be able to lock and load so you're going to walk away with something. He says, listen, he shall be like a tree planted by the streams of water that bringeth fruit in its season. So that your fruit will produce in due season, whose leaves will not wither, and wherever you go, you will prosper. Last time I'm trying to tell you, your shift is going to benefit you, but you got to delight yourself in, you got to delight yourself in the Lord. He says, listen, make sure you are rooted. He said, you'll be like a tree. He said, make sure you are committed. Listen to me, even in your sudden shifts, even in your suddenlies, you still got to make sure you are deeply rooted. I find if you keep talking, the more you keep talking negatively, those things will start taking root in the spirit of your mind. But if you start thinking, listen, you are an overcomer, that you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. And you start thinking on things that are honest, that are true, that are above, and not just focus on the winds and the realms of life. Always ask God, Lord, what's next? You know how they be like, oh, honey, if I could tell you about last night, let me tell you something. If I could tell you what God has in store for you. Eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, nor has it entered into your heart to what God has in store for you. But you have a responsibility. You have a place of accountability in this. And this is real talk. Where in your life you want change? Where is it you want change? What is it that you want change? What are you willing to do? How far are you willing to go? But make sure you're rooted. What do you want, Queen? If you don't know what you want, how are you going to be expecting something? What is the desire in your heart? This is a real conversation, because sometimes we're living but not knowing what it is that we want. He says, whenever I'm getting ready to do a new thing, he said, you have to perceive it first. And whenever God's getting ready to do something new in your life, you got to be able to recognize the shift. If you don't recognize it, you're going to get frustrated. You mess around and get mad with the world. Sometimes even angry with your own self. But you got to be able to recognize your shift. Have you ever seen chaos take place and then God shows up, you better be able to recognize. And then when you recognize your shift, don't respond illegally against the will of God. And this is real talk. Your response is very important in your shift. I was telling yesterday how a lot of times we want to go to next levels, we want to go up, but we want to sometimes skip some of the process. Just like walking up the stairs. You have your first stair, your second stair, your third stair. You got to go through each level. And on each level, there's a shift. But if you skip the stairs to get to the flight of stairs, you're going to miss your shifts that God is trying to make in the in-between. And then what happens, you find yourself coming back down to go back up. I need you to get up. Don't skip your process. Don't skip what God wants to show you on the first step. Because to go to the second step, you got to walk up another level. And by the time you finish walking up all the stairs, you have done a flight. And so Mary Jane, good morning, Queen. And you have now moved to another dimension. But if I'm telling you, if you skip past the shift on the first step, I need you to get up this morning. If you miss the first step, second, every step that you take, there's a shift in it. But understand those shifts that you take that are uncomfortable, that will challenge you, they are to your benefit. He said that's why you got to be planted and rooted by the streams of water like a plant. So when you start moving from the next level, check this out. Can I just do this? I was sharing this the other day. Good morning, Cynthia. Your first stair is level 1. Your second stair is level 2. Your third stair, level 3. I don't know how many stairs you got, but when you get to the top, you just did a flight. You just went to another level or another height. So now you get to look down to where you come from. Come on, I need you to get up this morning, but you got to make sure you are rooted, because on each level, you don't know what you're going to experience, but you got to be able to recognize your shifts when God began to make them. That's why he said, I need you to be rooted by the streams of living water, your roots to run deep, because now when you get into a hard place, I need you to make sure you have absorbed the things that I am saying. You got to make sure you are able to stand so you can get to the next level or the next dimension of your destiny. He says, listen, he says, roots help you stay anchored. So listen, he says, so delight yourself in him. Stay rooted, because in due season, you will produce. The roots help you produce what it is you are attached to. Queens, what are you attached to this morning? So when your shifts come, you won't move out of position, so you will miss what God has in store for you. This is real talk. So my question is this morning, can you recognize your shift? Because I'm finding out you can be seasoned, but not rooted. Ooh. You can be seasoned, but not rooted. Which means you can be in doing a thing for a long time, but not rooted. Woo! I looked at the vines in the tree when I was I was studying about the tree, and I looked at the roots and the different types of the roots and the tap roots and the different roots and how they're rooted into the ground. And out of those roots, sometimes there's little other roots. Come on, and those roots are feeding the tree, so it can produce life, and the weeds will not wither. So in every season, winter, spring, summer, fall, it still produces and goes through its seasons properly, because as in life, you're going to have seasons. You're going to have spring, winter, summer, and fall, and each season will produce and allow leaves to do certain things. But there's life still being given when it gets cold outside or when the trees start to fall. And as you notice, they'll start producing again in the next season the leaves that is needed. But you got to make sure your roots are rooted. And sometimes we can be doing things a long time, season, but not rooted. And this is real talk. And as I began to look at the tree, I looked at the heart. The heart also has vessels, come on, like it's little veins or roots sticking out of it. And this is real talk. So whatever's feeding it, so whatever's feeding it is what's going to produce. Do you hear me? So your heart has to be rooted and planted in what God says concerning you. I don't know. You better be able to recognize your shift so to make sure your heart is still rooted. Do you hear me? Your heart is rooted. Come on, that you are rooted. Oh, somebody called it. Did you hear me? Don't start now. So where are and what are you rooted into? This is a question because your actions will really tell you what you're rooted in. Are you rooted in just your money? Are you rooted in your home? What are you rooted in? Come on, don't start none, won't be none. So when life blows, are you still standing or are you going back? When your heart gets broken, what you're rooted in, what are you anchored in? And this is real talk this morning. So my question to you this morning, Queen, can you recognize your shift? And understand when you recognize your shift is to benefit you. It's to benefit you. Come on, you got to go deep, Queen, real talk, because sometimes we can be in this thing for a long time. Seasoned, but not rooted. And you could recognize. Now, this is personal. You got to look at your own life. You got to find out is your hand in the cookie jar. Find out what it is that's triggering you. What you're rooted in. What type of conversations are you having? Where's your eye gate and your ear gate connected to? What are you speaking? Are you speaking life or are you speaking death? What are you rooted in? And this is real talk because whatever you rooted in is what you're going to produce. Listen to a person's conversation. They'll tell you excuse me, can I just say it? Listen to a person's conversation long enough, you'll find out what they're rooted in. I'm at Psalms 1 and 3. I need you to lock and load. And he shall be like a tree planted by the streams of water that bringeth forth fruit in its season. What are you rooted in? Because whatever comes out, because you can sit in a place and see the surface of a thing, the surface of a thing. You can talk to a person and see a surface of a thing. Spend a little bit more time in that area. You will see what the root of that thing is. Keep listening to a conversation over a long period of time. Good morning, Barbara. You will find out what they rooted in. Just hold on. Wait a minute. Real talk. Listen. And so your roots are very important. Some of our roots are still plugged into our generational curses. May God put the axe to the root of that thing that's holding you up and holding you back and not allowing you to get, Barbara, good to see you, Queen, to get you to your destination. Queens, if I had waited, or if I would have stayed rooted in my past experiences, I would not be before you, in front of you today. Did you hear me? Because of rejection. Let me have a sip this morning. Woo! You better get rooted. You better get rooted into the one, listen, who has your plan already prepared, mapped out, you've been already chosen. Rejection was a big factor in my life, Queen. Rejection as a kid. As a kid. Rejection. Can I just say that? But when I came into the kingdom, into the knowledge I got rooted and became the head and not the tail, above and not beneath. Do you hear me? Rejection. And if you don't get rooted and planted by the streams of water that will bring you life in seasons, when winds blow, storms happen, you'll resort back to the old nature. So you got to make sure. Boy, there's so much in here, I don't even know what to do with my own self. Do you hear me? That you are planted in wisdom, in the wisdom of God. That you are planted, come on, in the truths of God. That you are planted. So that when shifts in life, because we haven't even seen anything yet, I promise you. There are some shifts that's going to come from an agenda that has been set up. You got to make sure you are rooted, you are stabilized, because when the storm come and the wind blow, you gonna bend, but queen, you will not break. Your feet will be stabilized. Do you hear me? Somebody say stabilized. And this is real talk, because a lot of times, let me say how you know when you're not really stable. Ooh. There was moments, queens, where I felt like I should have just walked away from Queen Rise Up. Can I just say it? Can I just, let me just walk away. Let me walk off. Let me walk away. Then you had, but because I was rooted, God began to say, don't focus on this. Focus on me and keep going. So you can stay consistent. So if you're rooted, and your roots are deep enough and you are absorbing what God is saying, he'll start talking to you in dry places. He'll start hydrating you. Come on. Even in the wilderness, he'll feed you. When you think ain't nobody on your team, he's rooting for you. Man, you got to Mary Jane, you got to make sure you're stabilized, queen, or you're going to be like to and fro, tossed to and fro, double-minded, unstable. You got to be stabilized. And what happens is, and that's what the roots, what they do, queen, when you're rooted in who God says you are and who he is, they keep you stable to the ground. Roots keep the tree to the ground. Why do you think they can't go nowhere? You get big trees with big stumps, and they got a whole lot of roots, because the roots got to hold them to the ground. You seen them old oak trees, and their trunks about this yay big? That means they need roots enough to sustain. Come on, where they're going, queen, you're growing. Listen, but you got to be rooted. Come on, sometimes it takes time, takes months, it takes years. Come on, listen to me, to get the strength that you need to sustain based on where you're getting ready to, grow to, where God is getting ready to take you. Come on, and you're wondering, you know what? And then there's these shifts that come, and so God wants to see how stable you are. Nope, you got to get a little bit more stabilized. Come on, you got a little bit more root to grow. You got to get a little bit more deeper. There's a little bit more I need to teach you. Don't start. No, you got to go where you have to go. Sometimes all by yourself. Mary Jane, don't start none, girl. Listen, you got to go by yourself. Matter of fact, if you root it deep enough, he tell you, I'll never leave you. I'll never forsake you. I'll be with you always to the end of the world, and keep going. You hear me? So he root you to build you up. And what you rooted into, Queen, don't start nothing. Barbara, please. I'm just trying to. I said, Lord, wow, don't start nothing, queen. Listen, he said, sound like God's giving a strong foundation. Because he didn't say life wasn't going to happen. When them trees, when I'm looking at them and I was studying them, the roots, and then how big they grow. I got a big tree in my backyard. That joke is so huge, I was like, Lord. And what's holding it is the roots, and he's getting his nutrients from the soil. Let me have a sip. And I've been in this house for 21 years. Mary Jane, do you hear me? Don't start none, Queen. And I'm going to tell you, it has weathered storms, lightnings. Some branches have fell off. The leaves are on the ground. Be so many leaves. I'll be like, Lord, who coming to get these up? I don't know, not me. But let me tell you something. That's life. But you just got to make sure you're rooted because of the elements of life, the disappointments, the heartaches. Come on, the teachings, the purging, the pullings, the death, sicknesses. I mean, life. But you better make sure you are not just surface deep. So you'll be able to recognize when your shift comes, you'll still be able to stand. And I don't know where you are, but make sure when you get into places and journeys of your life, you are delighting yourself in Christ. And this is real talk. Delight yourself in him. He says, not only will you delight yourself, he says, listen, he said, you're going to bring forth fruit in its season. Now, what you're rooted in, because in due season, it's going to produce life. And while I'm talking to you, I'm having some flashbacks. Wait a minute. So all of that back there was a preparation for the fruit that's producing now. Did you hear me? But you got to make sure you're stable when life is blowing and life is changing and seasons are changing. He's preparing you for where you're going, not for where you are. But if you're seasoned and not rooted, you ever see, you have meat and they say marinate, and sometimes when we cook, we just, we sprinkle the top or we'll sprinkle the top of it and go ahead and fry it. But then there's moments where they say put the seasons in and put the juices in and marinate it for an hour. That's so the juices can seep through the inside, not just on the top. Because if you season just on the top and you cut it open inside, it just is bland. It's bland. But because it's seasoned on the top, you can chop it up and mix it in. You won't even know that it's bland on the inside, but seasoned on the outside. But if you do it and you marinate it, it don't just hit the surface. I said seasoned, but not rooted. But then it goes through and it marinates through the inside. I'm going to have to go and listen back. All right, Queen. I love you, Queen. We can ready to get up out of here. Teresa. Listen, real talk. And Teresa, when you go to work, watch what you're rooted into. Because you might not see that thing now, but it'll produce after a while. Sometimes you got to get away from negative people. But Mary Jane says sometimes you got to go alone. Conversations. Queens, what are you rooted into? And can you recognize your shift? And understand when your shift comes, your shift is to benefit you. When your shift comes, he want to make sure you are firm. You know what? Marinate takes time to real good. Don't start nothing, Mary Jane. Real good. You hear me? It takes time. While I'm sitting here, I'm going time. I'm looking back over my journey. But I keep hearing him say, eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, nor has entered the heart of man what God even has in store for you. Because one day is like 1,000 years with God. Did you hear me? Don't start none. I don't know how long you've been, listen to me, how long you've been marinating. Don't start no, won't be now. You hear me? I need you to make sure you lock and load. Go back over Psalms. There's so much. Lord have mercy. Psalms 1 and 3. Make sure you lock and load it. He says, listen, if you delight yourself in me, let me do this one. We're going to walk with this one. Delight. Listen, Psalms 37. He says, delight yourself in the Lord and he'll give you the desires of your heart. In other words, get rooted in me. I'll give you the desires of your heart. Obey my benefits. Obey me. And I'll give you the desires of your heart. He says, listen. Delight yourself. Even in the toughest times. Delight yourself. When it gets hard. That's Psalms 37, verse 4 and 5. Delight yourself also in the Lord, and he shall give you the desires of thy heart. He says, commit thy ways unto the Lord, and trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. Stay rooted. Delight yourself. Now, always bring it in, because it's good to lock and load and to release. But bring it back home. Bring it in. Bring it in. Bring it home. Your heart, what are you rooted in? What do you delight in? What do you seek after? What thoughts are in your mind? What thoughts what's rooted in your mind? Is there something that needs to be plucked up? Real talk. How did you think about you? How do you talk to you about you? Do you talk to you the way that how God feels about you? Do you delight in what he says concerning you? Come on, Queen. New harvest. It is a new harvest and a new season. Because whatever you delight yourself in, whatever you rooted into, it's going to produce some fruit after a while. And to get, listen, your new harvest, your new season, what come, Queen, start thinking differently. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Honey, they be like, what's going on? I said, honey, it will take you a lifetime to tell you. How you doing, honey? I'm doing fine. What's been up? If I was to tell you, it'll take me all day. Because he'll start renewing your mind. You'll start even having conversations that you used to have, because now the mind is being renewed. Allowing you to see things differently, through a different lens. You hear things differently. But bring it home this morning. I remember saying, you know what? But I remember the words I used. I said, by all means necessary. I was coming out of captivity, so I had to start delighting myself in the things that would liberate my spirit of my mind. Not that the people were gone, but my mind had elevated. I went from the levels, started walking through my levels. It was tough, but I started delighting myself in who God says I am. You got to delight yourself in who he says you are. Delight yourself in who he says he is in you. Delight yourself as you're walking and going up your levels and your steps, and God is shifting. You said it's raining. I hear the sounds of rain. Don't start no, Mary Jane. Matter of fact, Elijah told he told the serpent. He said, "Go look again." He said, because Elijah said it was a drought. Elijah said, "Oh, it's gonna rain," but they didn't see no clouds. They didn't see nothing that pertains to rain. He said, "Go look again." 7 times he sent his servant to look. Go back and look again. Come on and go look again. Come on, I see. Come on, I hear the sounds of rain. Don't start nothing, Queen. Real talk. Woo! We haven't seen any. You haven't, Queen. Listen, you haven't seen anything yet. Some of you, whoo, how powerful your words are. Do you know when you speak in your speaking life, you be prophesying to your own self. You be prophetically speaking. Do you know? Let me have a sip this morning. I'm starting on this. Matter of fact, you hear rain. I hear showers of rain. You better prophesy. Listen, you better prophesy to your life. I hear sounds of rain. Listen, you know what? I can't. You know what? I gotta get up out of here. I know I gotta do my 30 minutes of self-love over on TikTok. I hope y'all join me. You better open up Queen Real Talk. Now, nobody knows you better than this room, but you and God. Real talk. Oh. I can't mess with that right now, Mary Jane. You're gonna have me stuck up. You're gonna have me stuck up over here. I gotta get up out of here. Listen, but real talk, open up your mouth. But when you read this, bring this thing back home. Bring it home. Because it's gonna start with you. But it ain't about you. It ain't all about you. It starts with you. So make sure you're locked and loaded this morning. Go back over Psalms 27, 4 through 5. And Psalms 1 and 3. And just declare over your life today that I am rooted. And Lord, I declare, decree today that I am delighting myself in you. You take the same thing we just read through the word of God and begin to decree it and declare it over your life. You prophesy that I am rooted and my leaves will not wither. And that I will and you will produce fruit in due season. It'll make sense after a while, Mary Jane. What happens is, Mary Jane, sometimes we complicate this thing unnecessarily. You did it. If you open up your mouth this morning and read 37 and 23, just declare it and decree it. Same thing, lock and load and release. You hear me? Prophesied over your life this morning. Please don't stop me. Man, just gotta get up out of here. Woo. I want y'all to join me. I'm getting ready to go do 30 minutes of self-love. We're walking out physically, spiritually, for 30 minutes. Your spiritual life, your mental life, your purpose, your health, and your financial. You got this, Queen. We're not going to focus on the struggle. We're going to focus on the solution. We ain't going to marinate in the issue. We're going to lock, load, and release and walk this thing out. You hear me? Go through your shift because it's going to benefit you. Don't stay on your down and out. Use it as an opportunity to get to the next level to where God is taking you and purposing you. And how God does it for you, it don't have to look like everybody else's step, but it's how God has given it to you according to how He's designed you and what He has chosen you for. Do you hear me? You ain't got to have your names in lights to get to purpose, Queen. Just get there. And don't take 2 steps back, take 2 steps forward. Recognize your shift. And sometimes you get scared when that shift comes. And you can feel, I don't know about you, but I can feel my shifts. I'll be like, Lord, and that's why I tell God, just like, I'll be like, Lord, I'm scared. Did you hear me? I'll be like, Lord, guess what I do? I said, but you didn't give me, and I keep going. You didn't give me a spirit of fear. Listen, I said, been going, I've been doing group walking out and working up for 5 days a week. My body is sore filled. All right, Miss Barbara. She's been doing group walking. Amen, Queen. And walking for 5 days a week. Okay, I really got you. Oh, you got me down. Ah! Amen. Your body is sore. Ooh. Make sure you rest well on your 2 days off. Rest well, Barbara. Real talk. You know what? Taking care of our body is so vital. It's very important. I was reading the other day too. You know how you go to you're on different levels and you go on to different steps and then you get to different dimensions and you start shifting. And it doesn't matter, when your revelation takes place, but our bodies, our temples. Our bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit where He dwells. Take care of your house. Take care of your vehicle. And this is real talk. She says, listen, I want you in good health. I dwell in you. And I know it's spiritually, you understand, but still take care of that, of our physical as best as we can, as much as we can. If you guys haven't, I know, Barbara, you already have your membership with Live Good. I think I got the link going down there. Make sure you grab your membership. Mary Jane, I think you got your membership. I don't know if you others have your membership, but grab your membership and tell your family about Live Good. Tell them to look, let's go. If you don't have the link that you can share my link. Say, listen, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm doing. We'll be amazed. Preparing our body. Come on for the 70. I'm sorry, nothing, Miss Barbara. Oh, 70, Miss Barbara, you look good. Oh, Miss Barbara. I want to be still walking in my group thing by the time when I'm 69. Please. You go, Miss Barbara. High five to you. And Miss Barbara, I'm going to the left a little bit because I know you have the membership. You say your body is sore. Do you do your protein, Queen? Are you getting all the things that you need? Your protein, your vitamin D with the vitamin K in it. You taking care of your body from the inside. Your recovery is quickly. That's for a side note, Miss Barbara, but you got me. I know you understand. Because he said, I want you to be in good health even as your soul prosper. I need to get my vitamins and my collagen. Mary Jane, go. Yes, Queen. I'm getting ready to do vitamin D. And I love it because the vitamin D has the DK. So the vitamin D through K helps absorb the calcium so you don't have a calcium buildup. So that's what I love about the vitamin D. Then the vitamins, I take too, Queen, is the multivitamin with iron in them. So they made it so we won't, I don't know, they did something. I'm so thankful. And my collagen, Hunty, it's a wrap. I love and be that. So go get your. I take my magnesium at night. I didn't even want to get up this morning. Did I tell you? Because if you don't know the power of magnesium, I'm gonna get up out of here. I'm talking here because this is what we are, because we the spirit, soul, and body. Magnesium, it helps your body to relax. I take it at night before I go to bed. Ooh, 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 ooh. I'll be asleep. It helps your muscles to relax and also give you nutrients. So guys, if you're listening to me today, hit that link in the bio or go on my page, grab your membership so you can get your supplements. Be in good health even as your soul prosper. Real talk. Guys, I love you so much. We getting ready to go to the 30 minutes of self-love. If you have any questions, because I'm gonna tell you, getting rooted, it's gonna take some stamina. You know the enemy don't want you to, he's not gonna want you to get rooted. He's gonna fight you on every whim, whether it's physical, mental, spiritual, but you want to make sure you're strong in your roots. Real talk. Making sure you're getting what you need as you're getting rooted in who God is. And this is real talk. Guys, I got to get up out of here. See you on the other side. Happy Monday, baby. I got to get up out of here. Make sure y'all like, make sure you share, tag somebody. I got to get up out of here. Know that I love you. You guys be blessed. I'll see you Wednesday, 9:15. And make sure you recognize your shift. If you hear me, make sure you can recognize it. All right, guys, I'll see you on the other side.